Jenny, I thought today we could talk about what to do. Like, I want to have a nice, small, all-in-one episode about what do I do if I inject the wrong insulin.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it happens to people, and the time to start thinking about it isn't when it's happening. So I'd like people to know ahead of time what to do. So how does it... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think something else that goes along with it too, although most pumps now have a protection feature to dosing too much, even of the right insulin, right? 1 unit versus, oh my gosh, I took 10 units because I didn't realize what buttons I was pushing, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's part of the same
It still happens. Also, I have a story that I'll tell during this that will, I didn't know what I was going to just say there. I always think of, every time I think of saying something that'll shock somebody, I think of the line from the Julia Roberts movie where she's famous and Hugh Grant owns a bookstore. What is that movie? Do you know what I mean?
I know the movie. And they
fall in love, and there's a crazy roommate of Hugh Grant's. Anyway, he says, I'm going to tell you a story that'll shrink your balls to the size of raisins. And I think of that every time I think of this. And I have a story like that about somebody getting too much insulin, which I will tell.
Oh, awesome.
Later. Let me
just I know the roommate is always in his underwear.
Yes.
I don't know the name of the movie, but he's like a crazy, and he's British, and he's got the most horrible teeth.
This is ridiculous. At the end, they're on the park bench. She's pregnant. It's happy. Yeah. All right. If that doesn't come to us, we'll look it up at the end for all the people who are yelling at their headphones right now and already know the answer. Okay. So here's what could happen. And now listen, if you're not MDI, like Jenny just said, hold tight. This applies to you as well. But moreover, what ends up happening normally is that people at the end of a day or in the early morning when they're tired, grab their fast-acting insulin, their mealtime insulin, instead of their basal or their slow-acting insulin, and inject a lot of fast-acting insulin instead of basal. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And I would say that's correct in terms of the majority of misused insulin type.
That's it.
Is somebody meant to take their basal and instead they took their rapid acting. It's not common that I find the other way around.
Yeah. And if that happened, you'd just be like, oh well, whatever.
So, maybe I don't have to inject, rapid today because I've got so much basal in the background. Right. But I could just eat all day.
But it doesn't feel as like
immediate.
Yeah. Like it has to happen right now because it does. Because listen, even if you're a kid, even, and you inject 4 or 5 units of Novolog, let's say, when you meant for it to be, I don't know, Levemir or Tresiba or something like that, that's a significant thing. Because most people know for their kids, 5 units is a ton. And then when you get into adults, they could be using 20, 25, 30 units of basal insulin. And now all of a sudden you've got 25 units of fast-acting insulin. But let's pick round numbers so we can do this well, okay?
Okay.
Let's say you meant to inject, I don't know, 10 units of basal, and instead you injected 10 units of fast-acting, and your insulin to carb ratio is 1 unit covers 10 carbs. This is a nice way to conversationally.
It's very easy math.
Right. So I've seen people panic. I've seen people call 911. I've seen them drive to the emergency room. I very frequently wonder why people don't just think, well, I wonder what my carb ratio is here. How much would I have to eat to counteract this?
Right. And that should be a first thought. But I also think, as you said, it's oh my goodness, what did I just do? And panic sets in and you think that was a lot of insulin. And especially for, I think from a clarification, as you said already, kiddos, many little kids are very sensitive to insulin. Yeah. So a whopping 10 units of rapid insulin when it shouldn't have been, could have been a lot of extra insulin versus an adult who maybe could actually cover that pretty easily with some simple food.
Yeah,
right?
10 maybe wouldn't be a crazy amount for them to begin with as a meal bolus. But just to keep your head about you, if 1 unit is 10 carbs for you and you put in 10 units, you need to eat 100 carbs.
Yes.
Not that much, but...
But I think the timing there of putting it in, thankfully we have CGMs where you not only took the amount of insulin, now you've got it, you're okay, I've got this, I know how much I took. let's put all the pieces together. Where is my blood sugar? Where is it heading? Is it stable? Is it rising? Is it already falling and lower to begin with? So those are all parts in the decision of starting to put food in to cover this excess, right?
And what kind of food is that because of digestion, absorption? Am I going to cover the 10 units in time? So if you panicked, for example, and said, I don't know. See, I guess this is the problem. Like, I like doing this in real time because what food would I go grab? And like, do you start thinking hundreds of big numbers? So I have to get something that's like a lot, or like, instead of thinking like, let me put in some fast acting sugar and then go get something that digests a little slower.
You're right. And that's where you're now thinking, as someone should be thinking, okay, where's my blood sugar? Is it in target? Is it dropping? If it is, you're looking at that 10 units now, probably a little bit more simple carb up front to really stabilize out whatever drop was happening already before the 10 units, right? And then once you've got stability, then again, action of rapid insulin is about, let's call it 4 hours. It's 3 to 5 hours, but on average about 3 to 4 hours. So you still have a timeline of its action to cover. That 100 grams doesn't need to be eaten in 15 minutes.
Right. You could spread it out a bit.
Right.
So stop the initial drop from crushing you with some food, buoy it a little bit, if you will, like, hold it up a little, and then go a little slower eating forward, watch the clock, watch your CGM or test. If you start drifting in the wrong, drifting up, you think maybe I got this now. Right.
Yeah. And then you let the drift happen. At that point, you definitely still have insulin. Now let the drift happen. I mean, you don't like high blood sugars, but this is a different scenario of a high. You were trying to prevent what you didn't plan to do to begin with.
Yeah. We're also trying to, without saying it, maybe we should just say it here. Like, you're trying to prevent like dying is what you're trying to prevent. Yeah. So let's run the risk of having a high blood sugar for a few hours until we're sure that insulin's gone.
Right.
I do see people at times, they run to juice and they start panicking and trying to get all the carbs from the juice. But I'm going to tell you can get what I call juice sick if you do that, like your stomach, and then you're in trouble, because if you vomit or you can't eat anymore and you still need more, you're going to be in trouble there as well. If you're trying just to cover with
correct
with food, right?
Yep. Which is again the reason for some of the timing of intake, right? If you're timing that out, giving a portion up front, watching the CGM, watch it every 15 to 20 minutes. Digestively, you have to get some time going for that food to move in, really get absorbed. If you want to speed some absorption because you were dropping already, you may do some warm liquid along with the simple carbs, because that does speed up absorption and the rate of kind of digestion. So it gets things moving a little faster to stabilize things out. And then eventually with stability, okay, well, I covered this much already. There's still this much, let's say 5 units was still uncovered. As long as you've got stability, you may start putting in the rest of the food to cover that 5 extra units in a little bit more complex food, so that, so that it doesn't really cause a big spike and then drop you off yet again.
Because of digestion. So I'll say this, if you haven't listened to the Pro Tip series, I think if you listen to the Pro Tip series, when this happened, you would just do what Jenny and I are saying kind of naturally, right? Because you'd have a concept of timing and amount, right? And so, but if you haven't, fair enough. What did you just say about the warm liquid? What does that do? That helps your body pull up the sugar quicker?
So warm liquid actually speeds the rate of digestive to a degree, and so that it increases the ability for your body to digestively absorb that food or that carbohydrate, especially faster, so that you get a little bit quicker response. Again, if you were dropping honey in warm water is lovely. 5 grams per teaspoon, it works pretty quickly. You're getting it into your system. It's also not volume. You're talking about juice sickness. There's only so much liquid you can put in before you start feeling yuck, right? So teeny tiny amounts, maple syrup or honey, even a teaspoon of like regular sugar can be easy to get in, and it's not this large volume of food.
It's a good point. Like, even the juice boxes that Arden still carries to this day for Lowe's are very tiny. But I guess, I did a lot of juice box research at one point in my life, right? Like, how can I get her the least volume of liquid that she still is okay with the taste of, that will get her the most carbs? Because we're not using them for pleasure. We're not using them to drink. We're using them to combat a low blood sugar. I have to say, I sent her off to college 6 months ago with juice boxes. And I was like, look, when you run out of them, you'll have to buy more. And she hasn't had to buy more.
That's awesome.
So exciting. Yeah.
That's
it's such a
very
little
exciting.
thing. But like, I love throwing juice boxes away when I pick her up at college. I'm like, oh my God, you didn't use these. Like, it's fantastic.
Yay.
Let us go into digestion just a minute. So you can't just grab anything. The amount of people I see are like, I have a low blood sugar, and they're like, they have chocolate. I'm like, that is not
the right option.
Not chocolate. Yeah. Like, I know, because they think sweet or sugary, which is nice, but it's fatty and not absorptive.
Right. And slow.
Yeah. So simple sugars to stop I guess the way you have to think of it is, you've just put in way too much insulin. And reasonably speaking, insulin doesn't work faster or slower because you've used more of it. Like, until you start getting into really bigger numbers.
Volumes.
Yeah, volume. Yeah. Like, if you put in, let's say 150 units instead of 1.5 units, which, by the way, hint, hint, is the story I'm going to tell you in a minute. Like, so let's say that happened, then yes, it's going to start dropping more quickly. But if you put in 10 and, your normal bolus is like 4 usually, like, it's not like your blood sugar is going to drop 12 seconds later.
Correct.
So you have a little time. Now we're going to put in some fast acting, easily absorbed stuff like juice, like honey and warm water, that kind of stuff, to basically start shooting your blood sugar up, so that when that insulin starts to hit, it's fighting against the rise already.
Yes.
Kind of the opposite of a pre-bolus for a meal. Instead of causing a drop that your food just kind of holds steady, you're going to put in enough food that even if the drop's happening, it can't overwhelm this, right?
Yep.
Now you've got yourself saved for a minute. Now take a breath, right? And now do the math. How many more carbs do I have to cover here? But we're not going to do that with pizza, for example, because now your digestion slows way down, and the insulin has time to overpower the simple sugar that you took to initially. And now the pizza's not digesting. So now the insulin's there and nothing's combating it. If you explain how to bolus for pizza right now, that will solidify my example. Would you do that for me?
How to bolus for pizza?
How do you bolus for pizza?
Sure. So pizza has a lot of carb, right? But it also has a lot of fat and potentially a lot of protein, which is going to draw out an impact. So what you're going to do is you're going to give some upfront with pre-bolus, maybe 50%, let's call it. And then if you're doing, multiple daily injections, you may do a split bolus technique. You bolus some up front, you bolus some maybe right after the meal, or some maybe 30 to 60 minutes after the meal to catch the end effect. If you have a pump that does something like an extended bolus, you can do some up front and extend from that point the rest of it over a period of 1, 2, 3 hours, for example. So essentially you're getting some, and then you're ticking in the rest as the food digests more slowly on the back end.
Right. So for those of you who have ever bolused for pizza and thinking like, oh, there's 30 carbs in every one of these slices, I'm going to have 3 slices. Here's 90 carbs. Then the next thing you know, you're super low. It's because the insulin's working. The food hasn't started digesting enough for your body to pick it up and to combat it. Understanding how to bolus for pizza explains why you wouldn't use something like pizza in this example. Like, so I thought maybe that would be a good thing to throw in here.
Absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of the technology we have today, I think another piece that should really help to decrease the panic in that scenario is you don't have to do a finger stick every single 5 minutes.
Right.
You've got a CGM to be able to follow. The other really awesome thing is that in today's world, we have multiple options for glucagon.
Yeah.
And if you really were worried and you really didn't see movement on that glucose graph, and you did finger sticks and they were verifying that the CGM is correct and your blood sugar is not rising, and you're worried, you have glucagon.
Yeah.
You could use it. Absolutely.
And I just want people to understand how to manage it without it. But I'm not saying don't use it. If you get sick to your stomach, if you panic, if you just better off alive with a high blood sugar and we'll start over again than than not. I don't want to see you passing out. I also don't want to see what I hear happen sometimes. Once the panic goes through, people will put themselves in the car sometimes to go to the hospital. And I'm like, no, I don't want you driving. Your blood sugar's falling rapidly. You don't know when it's going to tank out. But I've seen it happen. Like, there's a panic, then there's a froze. They freeze. Some people will go to the internet. Help me. I just did this. All I can think is, there's 5 minutes there to open your phone, to put up the post, or somebody sees it. Like, time is a wasting. Right. And then they're like, I don't have anything in the house, or I don't have this, or I can't make up that much, or I don't feel well. I'm going to go to the hospital. And I'm like, by yourself? Call 911.
That's the purpose of 911. Yes.
We don't want you driving during this situation. But I think what happens is that any reasonable person who would not do something like that in a normal situation, when the panic hits them and they run out of options, they just go to what's left. And, if you really thought you were about to pass out in your home and you had enough insulin in you that it was going to do you in, then trying to drive to the emergency room doesn't seem crazy all of a sudden. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anyway, I've just seen so many people have these experiences that I'm aware of where they go upside down at times. With all that said, you have to have this stuff in your house, obviously. Like, if you have type 1 diabetes and you don't have this stuff in your house, there's got to be an emergency stash somewhere of stuff.
Correct. Yes.
You need to understand that simple sugar absorbs well through your cheeks, like inside of your cheeks. So you can rub like glucose gel in there. You can try tablets, but use your glucagon if you can't figure the rest of it out, or if you're panicking, because we don't want anything bad to happen.
You know what?
Good.
I thought of the movie name.
Wait. Oh, now I feel weird. All right. So wait. So she's a very famous.
It's like in the back of my brain, I've been thinking while we've been talking. Right. I'm like, I know that darn movie.
A second. She's super famous. She's an American actress. She comes to England to make a movie, falls in love with a guy from a bookstore. They have a bit of a romance. They break up again. Alec Baldwin shows up at some point. I know the entire goddamn movie, but what the fuck is it called?
Can I give you a letter?
I guess so. Go ahead.
H is in the second word.
Oh my God, in the second word.
It's a 2-word name.
I'm going to be so embarrassed. And also, let me tell you this. I've seen this movie like 5 times because my wife watches it all the time.
Oh, really? I think I've only seen it like once.
Oh, no. I could pretty much walk you through the script right now if I needed to. At one point, she's making kind of like a Bridgerton type show, and he shows up there and puts a headset on and hears her talking to another actor about him. I know the whole thing. Don't tell me. Just okay. All right, let's keep talking.
Okay.
If I don't figure this out, I'd be so embarrassed.
No, that's
okay. So beyond. Go ahead.
I was going to say another component that I do think of for those who are on pumps. This wouldn't apply for MDI, but it would apply for pumps. You do have the opportunity to subtract some of your basal over the next couple of hours, right? You could technically replace, knowing again, insulin action is going to be a couple of hours of this bigger dose than you expected to take. And if you've got an insulin, basal rate that's like 1 unit an hour, you could technically for the next 2 hours just set a 0 basal or a suspend, which could prevent that basal from building behind this large dose, allowing some of that bolus to just be replaced.
Yeah. I would say that, like, if your blood sugar was 130 and it was super stable for hours, you didn't have any active insulin at all, and your basal rate was 1 unit per hour, if you just bolused 2 units and then shut your basal off for 2 hours, it's very possible you wouldn't notice anything happen.
Right.
Like, so those are those kind of ideas that you need to apply in this situation for certain. Okay, so we've injected the wrong insulin or pumped in more than we've meant to. These are ways to handle that. What if I do the wrong dose of, so here, these are actually questions from people. So what do I do when folks inject the wrong insulin, like their fast acting versus their long acting? What do I do? Be aware of? What's the next few hours like? What's the math behind it? I feel like we've covered all that. What to do if you take a double dose of long acting by accident? So I shoot my basal insulin, and an hour later, I can't believe this. It does happen. Like, I do it again, and I go, oh my God, oh my God. Now I have 20 units of my long acting going. It's almost, I mean, it's a completely different game now, right? Like, because it's not, yeah.
It would be a completely different. And again, depending on the time of day, if you're a basal dose at night or, in the evening, you're very likely the best recommendation would be to have an uncovered snack before you go to bed, because you now have twice the amount of basal insulin. And while we do, the newer insulins like Tresiba, they tend to be much more flat. In effect, they don't really have a rise and then kind of a dip down at the end. Lantus is fairly flat, but it still does have a little bit of a surge in action and a kind of like a petering out at the end. But in all, the best option there is, again, to aim for a little bit higher blood sugar, especially overnight, than what you would typically aim for.
Yeah.
That's safe for the overnight, an uncovered snack, some good protein content to it, so that it has some sort of stability behind everything. The next day, though, and this is for those who might do their basal insulin in the morning, now you've got double coverage. And as I sort of said earlier, it's very likely your doses for meals are probably going to need a downplayed dose.
Okay.
Because now you have a lot of basal. The other potential is that you have to have a meal and you may have to have some uncovered snacks between. Because again, there's a much higher amount of basal insulin there than you wanted to have.
Right. So if your basal's dialed in perfectly and you're 1 unit an hour, let's say it's 24, you shoot 24 units a day because you're about 1 unit an hour. Now, suddenly you've put it in twice. Now you have 48. If your stability is at 90 on the 24 units, with 48, your blood sugar is just going to constantly want to be low. So you're basically going to have to feed that insulin until it's out or until it starts to wane. And the newer ones don't wane the way the older ones do. So you might be 24 hours if you did this with Tresiba, for example.
Correct.
Versus if you did it with Lantus or Levemir, which would probably start to change around like 20 hours, something like that. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Super interesting. Now, here's your story. So this is in an interview that won't be out for a number of months here on the podcast. But this 7-year-old girl leaves in the morning. She's an Omnipod user, but leaves her phone behind in her car when she goes to school. So the mother calls the school and says, hey, we're going to have to go to the backup plan. We'll use MDI until I can get back to the school and drop off the phone, which I'll be able to do pretty soon. But, there's a thing coming up, whatever comes up, go to the MDI, 504 plan, et cetera, has us covered for that. So the mom does some stuff. She gets to the school. And just as she gets to the school, she comes to the nurse's office because that's where the kid is. The kid just got insulin for something. And the mom thinks, I'll go to the nurse's office and drop off the controller or the phone, whatever. And I'll be on my way. And she sees the little girl who, for some reason, has 2 syringe marks in her instead of 1. Like it just happened.
It's interesting, too, that she could see the syringe marks.
And she could see these 2 little syringe marks on the kid. And she goes, what, how come you have like 2 little, how come you got poked twice? And the nurse says, all the insulin didn't fit in just 1 syringe. Yep. There you go, Jenny. Take a minute to take it in. You'll want to catch this episode when it comes out because it's just me cursing a lot for an hour.
Oh, my God. So the woman thought that literally all the insulin in the vial was a dose and had to go in? She
wanted to give her 1.5 units and gave her 150 units of insulin. A 7-year-old. So the mom, as you'll hear in the no kidding, like really absorb it for a second. So when we talked about if you put in enough insulin in a smaller, in a body, it started acting pretty quickly on the kid, right? So
and is going to last for quite a while because when you talk about volume, that volume of, let's call it 1.5 units, may take a little time to get moving like normal, our pre-bolus, but then it's gone in a normal amount of time because that pocket of insulin under the skin it's almost like a styrofoam ball instead of a Super Bowl ball, right? That compact, rubbery, that's a large dose of insulin. And now, despite having a 3 to 5 hour active insulin window, now you've got tightly packed insulin that's inside of that ball of injected. And that's going to take
forever.
Beyond.
Well, what it took was 8 hours on a dextrose drip in the ER. Yeah. So anyway, I won't ruin the whole story or the things I said I would do to the school nurse. But my God. But anyway, the mom, she first she just tries to find a way that it didn't happen. Are you sure that's what you did? Like, so there's a couple of minutes spent in the office doing that. They live very close to the house where they live. And so she sticks the kid in the car, is at the house in 2 minutes, leaves the kid in the car, runs in the house, grabs glucagon. I'm not sure why glucagon wasn't at the school, but anyway, I bet you it is now. She hits the kid with the glucagon, but the kid's already dipping. Like,
I'm sure.
Yeah. Like she's her lights are going out, right? Like, so she hits her with the glucagon, which pushes her blood sugar to like 74, long enough for her to drive her to the emergency room. Anyway, she told me that story. I couldn't decide if I was going to cry or scream when she was saying it. It was insane. Like, wait till you hear her tell the story.
That's like, usually I have words for most things.
Well, listen.
But I don't have words. Like, I wouldn't even have words in the moment. I wouldn't have wasted words on the nurse. I would have moved with my child, and the words would have come later.
Oh, I told her, I said, if that was me, I would have been shooting glucagon with one hand and choking that lady with my other one. And for clarity, because you definitely go find the story somewhere, wherever it is in the podcast. Like, good luck. I probably ended up naming it something stupid. You'll never find it. But
Wow.
a nurse in her 60s, she'd been a nurse for 40 years.
And should have known. I mean, it's not, insulin's been around that long, drying up insulin. You can't tell me this wasn't the first child she's given insulin.
But it goes to prove, like, what we were talking about a little, like, to come down on the side of the nurse for a second, right? Like what we talked about before. Like, I don't know, how do you shoot 24 units of basal and then do it again an hour later? It's because sometimes you just, you get flummoxed and you just don't think of things. My real, like, sticking point was, why would a needle manufacturer make a needle that doesn't hold enough insulin for an average 7-year-old to bolus for a snickety snack? Like, right? Like, do you really think people are hitting themselves with multiple needles every time they eat? And that's where no common sense got involved at all. It didn't stop her. She gave the kid 150 units of fast acting insulin.
Oh my God. Wow.
Even like holding the vial. Wouldn't you say to yourself, my God, I wonder how many of these, she must use hundreds of these vials of insulin every month. Like, right? Like, none of that kind of like common sense stuff got to her. The kid knew. The kid threw up a flag when the nurse said, oh, it just doesn't fit. I mean, she was 7. She's like, all right, on. Like, and she just sort of went with it.
Right. You know what my inclination would be in terms of how the mom could see that there were 2. I bet the nurse put Band-Aids on
I
the
see
spot.
what you're saying.
I bet there were 2 Band-Aids because those injection spots, you can't really, that would be my thing, is that there were 2 little Band-Aids and mom was like, why do you have 2 Band-Aids?
What's going on right now? Yeah.
What's going on right now?
But just the timing of it, Jenny.
Yeah.
If the mom gets held up for 10 minutes and doesn't show up at that moment, they send that kid back to class and she just dies in her room. You know what I mean? Isn't that terrible? Like, anyway, so I'm sorry. It was so upsetting. You should see. Anyway, if you hear the episode, I just at any point in the episode start cursing and I get upset. I'm like, just how did this happen?
Oh my God.
But nevertheless, you are at some point in this game, you're going to end up with the wrong amount of insulin one way or the other. And knowing how to like deal with those situations is, I mean, it's probably not going to be 150 units when you meant to do 1.5 units. But you are going to make a bolus one day and get sick in the middle of it, not want to eat. Or the restaurant's going to come back 20 minutes later and go, oh, we didn't have what you ordered. Would you like to order something else? And you're going to be like, oh, wait, what in the hell?
Right.
Like, so this is going to happen at some point.
Yeah. And even in terms, I sometimes get more emergent emails that are, Susie just threw up and we just gave her dose for her dinner. Mm-hmm. Now what do we do? It's kind of the same. It's really the same idea. Really just covering it a little bit different way. Obviously, if there's a stomach bug or something else in the picture, right? Yeah. But yeah, it is. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. I have done this, not between basal and rapid, but I've done it because I was not paying as close attention to what I was dosing. Mm-hmm. And I took more than I was supposed to take because I was busy doing other things with my kids. And I went and I entered, and then I looked at my IOB and I was like, I shouldn't have this much IOB there.
You know what? You know what ends up happening
This much.
with a pump? What I see happen to people more frequently than anything else. It's not like saying to yourself, like, oh, I'm going to give myself 5 and giving yourself 10. It's saying to yourself, I'm having 30 carbs and you're a 1 to 3, you're a 1 to 10, for example.
Right.
And instead of giving yourself 3 units, giving yourself 30 units because the number 30 sticks in your head while you're dialing it up and you're paying attention to something else. That's the way I see it happen with pumps more often than not.
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely. Or distraction. Again, mine was, this is honestly in my memory is the only time that I've ever done it in terms of like that absent-minded. And I was supposed to take a unit and I took 10 units.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of insulin for me, but I just enjoyed the afternoon.
Jenny's like, finally, ice cream.
Like, I know how to take care
Put
of this.
Put the quinoa away. We're eating for real today.
We are not taking a bike ride today, boys.
Well, yeah,
sorry.
Listen, have a meal or a snack, consume fast-acting carbs, monitor your blood sugar, stay with someone, avoid activity, contact your healthcare provider, carry glucagon, adjust your basal insulin. These are things you can do.
Yep.
I never did it, but I almost did it. I drew it up and I had it in my hand. And I don't know what happened, but my brain was like, that vial was the wrong color.
That made you second
It
think.
stopped me just long enough. And then when I went back, because they're both in the refrigerator, I don't know what I did. So I threw the syringe away and I just started over again.
Yep.
I don't know. Like I never made it all the way to the injection, but I've done that. I've also miscalculated carbs, given too much insulin. It's going to happen a lot of different ways. But listen, Again, I just want to say at the end, if all else fails, glucagon 911.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's not have. What did my son's outfield coach tell him when he was in Little League? Don't turn a mistake into a disaster.
Yeah.
Yes, he cursed a lot while he said it, so it wasn't that nice, but that's what he meant. What he meant was
the gist of it.
Yeah. You're going to make a mistake. It's cool. Don't keep making them after that. And anyway, I hope this is helpful for people. I hope you hear it before you need it. That's my goal in making this one, because like I said, the Facebook group, I'm going to say monthly. Oh my God, guys, what do I do? You know what I mean? So,
and I think it goes along with just kind of in my circumstance too. It's like the busyness of life, right?
Yeah.
It is. And you think you've gotten into such a routine that you're not going to make that mistake. It's a mistake. We are human. We will make a mistake at some point. And beating yourself up about it in that moment is not going to be helpful. So you move forward.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, what do I have to do now?
Yeah. Try to keep your head about you the best you can.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Jenny, let's do something. I'll just embarrass I'm married. I'm not embarrassed by this. Okay. I've seen a lot of Julia Roberts movies. I don't think I've seen one of them on purpose or because I wanted to, but I have. Let's go through all the Julia Roberts movies I know. She was in Mystic Pizza.
Oh, that's one of my favorite old movies.
There's the one where she's the hooker. That one's called Pretty Woman. Okay. Let's see if I can come up with them. There's that one where helps the lawyer, Erin Brockovich.
That's another I have to say that I really like her.
Can I tell you something? Erin Brockovich, the first movie we ever took Cole to. Kelly breastfed Cole in Erin Brockovich because we had to get out of the house, like so badly had to get out of the house. Julia Roberts has been in those movies. Now, she's been in a ton of movies. She was in that movie where she had type 1 diabetes. And that one's called... the Southern one.
Steel Magnolias.
Steel Magnolias.
God, that's an old one.
Drink Your Juice,
gosh.
Shelby. Remember that one?
Yes.
That one, by the way, my wife's favorite movie till Arden got type 1 diabetes and now we don't watch it anymore. Then, of course... There's what other movies has Erin Brock? I just called her Erin Brockovich been in. Julia Roberts.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I know the one that you're trying to think of, but I'm not going to say it until you can think about it.
I literally could tell you that entire movie front to back. Why can I not?
She's also in My Best Friend's Wedding.
My Best Friend's Wedding. There you go.
Which is not this one.
She's been in 7 movies where her and George Clooney are almost dating. So there's all those. I don't know the names of them.
Oh, she's also, I used to be a really big a really big John Grisham. I used to love his novels.
Pelican
and she
Brief.
was in Pelican Brief. Thank you. Yes.
Right. Where like they're on the house and it's raining and the crazy guy wants to kill her or something like that. Right. Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
Oh, the one that I really like, it was a book, is Eat, Pray, Love.
Okay. I've never seen that.
Sure, really?
I mean, that's a flex for my part, but okay.
Yes, I'd be surprised if your wife has
I
never
somehow
seen
got out of it is what I'm thinking right now. But the movie, by the way, here's the crazy thing about the movie I can't think of. At the end of the movie, there's a montage where they like have their life together and the song She is sung. Like, I even know that.
Look at you.
But I don't know what in the hell the movie's called. And when you tell me, I'm going to bang my head on the desk. I'm going to be so frustrated. I'm going to go, of course that's what it's called. It's called, all right, tell me.
You sure?
I'm so upset with myself. All right, we have to. Go ahead. Just tell me.
Notting Hill.
God damn it.
There it is.
Oh, I'm so pissed. I love Notting Hill.
We won't tell your wife.
My wife has 2 rainy day movies. Notting Hill is one of them.
Oh.
The other one's Twister.
Twister.
She loves Twister. When the weather's bad, she puts Twister on. They're remaking Twister. She seems very excited.
I don't like remakes, I'll tell you. I think remakes are...
Oh, it might be an update. I don't know what it's going to be. But I saw Kelly. She's like, oh, more Twisters. She seemed very excited.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Notting Hill. God damn it.
Notting Hill. Yeah.
That's really upsetting.
You know, something I like about her as an actress, too, for the most part, she does a lot of different, like, she doesn't get typecast, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a lot of variety in what she does. Like, I really liked her in they're kind of, I consider them sort of gangstery, the Oceans movies.
Ocean's 11.
11 and
right.
yeah.
And those.
I think she was in two of them at
George
least.
Clooney
right?
was there. She's there. You understand?
Right.
Yeah, they seem to have a cabal.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't call this episode Drink Your Juice, Shelby, can I? Because people will get upset. But that would be a really perfect title for this episode.
I think it's great.
Oh, do you? Okay. All right. I'm going to poll people in the Facebook group before I do that because I don't want to get in trouble. All right. Thank you. Hold on one second.
Yeah.